All right, it's Night Talk time. We talk at night. I'm Ellis Cannon. We've got a great show planned for you, a little eclectic as we go all over the board, starting with health and fitness, and we're going to be doing that right now with Deanna DiGioia. She is with the Greater Pittsburgh Wellness, and we are excited to have her on board for a variety of reasons. One, because obviously this is very important, not just to us individually, but increasingly on a corporate sense, and also just as human beings, getting ourselves in a position to be a little bit more conditioned. We're going to talk to her from a lot of perspectives. And first of all, Deanna, congratulations and welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
All right, what do you do there?
My technical title is Director of Development. I play multi-roles. I expand membership, first and foremost. We are a membership-based place. So we do have about 250 members currently. One of the aspects I'm trying to do is develop programming to attract new members, expand into more of the wellness side of things. We are a traditional gym. We have 10,000 square feet. So we do have your typical free weights, your cardio, classes, Zumba, step, Pilates, yoga.
Right.
And as I said, we're trying to pull in some of the wellness concepts. So part of my job is to develop those programs, extend membership, and then I also teach classes, and I also do one-on-one training and personal training as well.
So then you do everything. It's your show. It's your show. Okay, I'll
Very
blow
honored.
you up. Look, I'll blow you up over the next 2 segments. Believe me, but when you go to work tomorrow, it's not going to be called Greater Pittsburgh Wellness, okay? It's going to be called D's Place, Double D. How about this? Let's start with a word you just used. I used it in passing, but I don't know the meaning as well as you. What does wellness mean?
To me, wellness is a somewhat specific, vague term. Wellness can encompass a variety of topics. It can be something as just physical movement, such as like walking, hiking, whatever kind of movement you want to do. But there's also this other aspect called holistic. And that's the part that I'm focusing on to bring into a traditional gym format. So something such as meditation, yoga with a restorative side, so it's less movement and more holding poses. As I said, meditation, holistic health coaching. I'm also a graduate of the Institute of Integrative Nutrition out of New York City, and that focuses on a more holistic approach. And by holistic, it means not just physical exercise, but what kind of relationships do you have with your family, yourself, friends, your community. So it does encompass a whole variety of modalities.
So what I might call a traditional mindset and approach, as well as a non-traditional,
Correct.
if you will. Okay.
Correct.
Now, I want to know this. My people, including Lenny McAllister, who's producing the shows always tonight, tell me that you were an unbelievable basketball player. Okay? Now, how does one go from an unbelievable basketball player to the career you just outlined for me?
Well, let's give a shout out to the peeps at St. Bart's. I grew up in Penn Hills.
Sure.
I played for the one and only Paul Seneca.
Yep.
So I am a Paul Seneca graduate,
Devotee.
if you will. I also went to Sacred Heart High School. I was a graduate of Oakland Catholic, though. Sacred Heart closed. I played at Pitt Johnstown for a year. And after that year, just things changed, disillusioned with how things were going. And that year, we brought in a conditioning coach, and he did sports-specific conditioning for women's basketball. And previous to this, I would go to Jazzercise. It was called Jazzercise.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it was a blast, and I loved it. It was to music. It complemented any kind of athleticism. And as I continued to do that, and then once I stopped playing and got into this this little bug that bit me of conditioning, I started to look at that. And I started to get into teaching group exercise. I taught step aerobics for many, many years. I still do. Not as much, but I do. And that was my entry into this other world of athleticism that I didn't even know existed.
Sure. So you have this fitness aspect of it. You've got the non-traditional aspect of it. You've got nutrition. You've got lifestyle, all of which you try to concentrate on.
Correct.
Let's put aside, if I might, for a moment, Greater Pittsburgh Wellness. So let's just talk about those as it relates to some numbers, and some numbers that really should frighten a lot of people. I understand that you need to have 30 minutes of cardio a day. And at least 5 days a week in order to be able to keep the blood flowing, keep yourself in the best position. Less than 5% of adults do that. I understand that more than 80% of adults don't meet the guidelines for, I believe, the aerobic and muscle toning. I call it lifting.
Sure.
And forget adolescence. Now we're going to talk about the societal impact of that. We'll talk about the corporate impact of that. We'll talk about the financial impact of that. Tell me from a health perspective, what the hell we're doing when less than 5% of people can do that. And I'm not yelling. I understand people all have lives and responsibilities, but just tell me what this means to not be conditioned like that.
Any type of non-conditioning, any type of sedentary lifestyle is dangerous in many ways. And it's not just a physical part. Again, I look at a person as a holistic being. So when you start to slow down and you stop, the term, the cliche, move it or lose it, it really does apply. And it's not just a physical activity. When you're sedentary and when you don't move, whether you're just sitting, whether you're working all the time, you don't have a time to just stop and breathe. And when you don't do that, you become muddled, you become anxious, you become worried, and all those things, chain reactions occur in the body that your anxiety and your stress levels increase, your hormones, cortisol increases, stress, which is a stress hormone. So your body, to me, it starts to almost like creak and crack. And you start to slow down, and the more you slow down, the harder it is to get started. And then typically, what people do is they eat to feel better. But the choices that we make, one thing I've told friends, family, and clients, junk food is the most readily available and easiest thing to choose. It's there all the time. Leave it go. It's there. It'll always be there. And it's the cheapest aspect. It's the cheapest food you can get.
Right.
So leave it there. It'll always be there. Make a drawer of it in your house. I have a drawer of junk food in my house that my children, who are 9 and 6, hello Pablo and Antonia.
Hello, guys.
Hello. They know it's there. And they will ask me, Mommy, can I have a piece of candy? And I might say yes or no. They know it's always there, so they don't choose it all the time. So back to what you were saying is, you become muddled, you become sedentary, and everything just kind of stops.
Well, I want to talk about the stress component of it because you've worked at it in your response, and I think it's pivotal to the entire process, particularly if you're going to be looking at it from a holistic standpoint when dealing with wellness. Because we all know that stress and anxiety, they are the dangers that you don't see, but you know are there. They play out in a variety of different ways, whether it be health disease or whether it be something that, again, you can't put your finger on in terms of an x-ray, anxiety, depression, feeling of loss of self-esteem. That to me is where it becomes real dangerous.
Very. And who doesn't have anxiety and stress in their life?
Exactly.
One of the parts of wellness that I've always disagreed with is that we can eliminate stress. I don't believe we can eliminate stress. This job that I have, it's good stress, but it's still stress. It's a dream job for me. However, it's still a stress. It still creates a different anxiety and it creates additional anxiety in my life. So I don't think you can get rid of anxiety. I think it's how we learn to deal with anxiety. And for me, exercise has always been a really great outlet. And for most people, it can be an outlet. And the guidelines that you mentioned, a lot of times those change over the years. A while back, it was 20 minutes a day. Sometimes it was like 60 minutes, 3 times a week. For me, I say, what can you do? What are you willing to do? What kind of goals can you set? Let's do some baby steps. Let's set you up for success.
Right.
If someone comes into me who hasn't been working out in a while, I haven't done it, they're already feeling bad. So now I say, well, the guidelines say you have to work out 30 minutes, 5 days a week. I've already set them up for failure.
Yeah, right. That's exactly right. And the person that comes in and says, I've been killing it for 2 weeks, I've not lifted in years, those are the guys that go away too.
Right.
I mean, they flame out. We've got less than a minute to go.
Okay.
And I do want to get back to Pittsburgh Wellness in just a moment. But we all saying that we're an obese country. I'm not breaking news here at NightTalk. 21% of our total health care costs by 2018, though, which is about $350 billion annually attributed to obesity. That's real change. That's real coin.
Right.
And therefore, when we start to consider it, I think in those terms, even in some respects, less oriented and think in terms of what the overall meaning of that is in terms of the healthcare, the impact, the stress, the pressures that it places on healthcare, ultimately the providers, and then certainly the cost perspective and insurance, you see is something that's clearly very important beyond even ourselves. We're going to come back, continue our conversation with Deanna. This is really good stuff. I want to talk about corporate training and corporate wellness and why that's important as well. We'll continue in 2 minutes at Night Talk.